Okay, we've just started the live. So one of the things really we pride ourselves on is to starting meetups on time and finishing on time. So it's 11, almost 11 a.m. Singapore time. So we are starting on time. So once more that is happening. So I'm really happy about that. And Acha, just a sec. I started the video. Okay. Okay, so it's 11 a.m. Singapore time. Thank you so much, everyone, again for joining in. This is day two of our CoRise Southeast Asia Summit. So on day one, we had a lot of region-specific session. Day two is slightly much broader. We take a little broader topic. So today's panel is growth marketing panel, which is one of my favorite one because I'm also confused. So in this panel, not only I'm an organizer, but I'm a learner. So I'm really looking forward to our conversations today. I'm Jatin. I'm one of the co-founder of eChai Network. We host engaging startup networking meetups in 15 countries in 25 global cities. And this program is co-organized by Vadhwani Foundation and TIP Nitro based in Philippines. So Cheryl, if you can tell us a little more about TIP Nitro.
Hello again, everyone. We are now on day two of the CoRise Summit, as Jatin said. I am Cheryl Arenas, the project lead of the Technological Institute of the Philippines Nurture Innovation Technology Revolution Office, or TIP Nitro. It is a collaboration-friendly university-based technology business incubator. We are one of the 48 TBIs funded by the Department of Science and Technology of the Philippines. So we promote and support innovation all the way to commercialization by providing a range of resources, services, and facilities during the development stage of the venture. And TIP Nitro organizes speaker series and workshops to support leading entrepreneurs in our community. We also offer mentorship, an opportunity for networking and partnership to support our incubatees and the whole TIP community. Our current incubatees are in clean technology, laundry delivery, furniture industry, SaaS, financial technology, and healthcare. So good to have you all again and learn from our speakers. So I hope this event will foster more collaboration in the region. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Dion, Cheryl has shown some greater energy, so you have to match that energy.
Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to day two in this event. This wonderful event, the first day. Yesterday is very good event. Now we are entering the second day. My name is Dion Dewa Barata, and I'm senior program manager from Vadhwani Foundation. I'm based in Jakarta. Story about Vadhwani Foundation is a non-for-profit organization with the primary mission of accelerating economic development by driving job creation through large-scale initiative in entrepreneurship, small business growth, innovation, and skilling. Now we work closely with our partner from government, foundation, lots of corporation, and educational institute since 2015 in Indonesia. Yeah, to create lots of job through venture creation and entrepreneurship ecosystem enhancement.
Awesome. Dion, thank you so much. We'll just get started. So one of the things we keep on mentioning at all our forums is that, we deliver a great experience. We bring in awesome speakers, but the most important part for that to happen is that awesome speakers accepting our emails, responding to our emails and accepting the invite. So Rosaline, Udit and Adrita, thank you so much for accepting the invite and being part of this program. We'll just get started. So the format is going to be for the first couple of minutes, each of the speakers will briefly introduce about them, about their work, and we'll have questions. And in the second half, we'll take some participant questions, either from Zoom or from social media. So Rosaline, Adrita, and Udit, thank you so much for joining in. Rosaline, if you can tell us a little more about your background, about MJAR.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the invite, Jatin. So I actually come from an e-commerce background. I used to run a health food business in Singapore, run on Shopify. And I joined AmJar early last year, started off doing marketing and then moved on to become the head of marketing for the company. We're an early stage startup focused on helping small businesses grow through shoutouts. So the sort of small businesses we'd be working with are Shopify stores or Etsy stores. And we basically enable them to shout each other out on different channels. So we have a tool for post checkout shoutouts, for email newsletter shoutouts, as well as Instagram story shoutouts. We're the platform that matches brands with each other and help them share each other in a really fair way. So we've been growing very rapidly. I've been speaking to thousands of small businesses over the last 2 years. And yeah, it's been a very exciting journey being able to help these entrepreneurs.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rosaline. Udit, if you can briefly tell us about your background, about which ground.
Thank you, Jatin, so much for having me over here, and it's a great pleasure to meet everyone over here. So my name is Udit Goenka, and I'm the founder and CEO of the company known as Lil SAS Incorporation. And we have two platforms under Lil SAS Incorporation. The first one is PitchGround, and the second one is our newly launched SaaS, which is known as Communication. So PitchGround was started a couple of years back out of my own frustration, where I couldn't figure out where a lot of people wanted to introduce and launch their SaaS. And when I built out my last SaaS, I couldn't find like the right platform, and I was misguided by a lot of people when I wanted to introduce that. And because of that frustration, I started doing a lot of research into the market and figured out that I wasn't the only one. So I ended up being an entrepreneur. I found a problem. I ended up building up PitchGround as a platform, which is a SaaS marketplace. And in just about 2 years of PitchGround going live, we have helped out over 35 SaaS companies and have generated close to around $3.5 million through our platform, helping all of these entrepreneurs to get sort of like bootstrap, but with the help of customers who are coming in, buying these amazing products and supporting all of these customers, supporting all of these SaaS companies through our platform. And we took it to a whole new level where, again, we ended up launching our own SaaS known as Communication, which is a unified customer and team communication platform that just went live during Black Friday. So that's a bit about us.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Udit. Adrita, if you can briefly tell us about you and about LiveSpace, and the friends who are watching live on social media probably will not be able to see the image of Adrita, but she is speaking. So if you are confused on which speaker is speaking, Adrita is speaking. And those who are on Zoom, you can anyways see Adrita. Adrita, yes.
Right. Thanks a lot, Jatin. First of all, it's been a pleasure to be back on this forum. Right. And so sorry, I can't switch on my video. I've got like major internet issues. But yeah, a bit about myself. My name is Adrita. I'm based out of Bangalore currently. I'm with LiveSpace for almost 2 years now. Now, LiveSpace is a tech-based interior designing platform, and we are one of the leading startups in Asia. We are a late-stage startup, actually. Right. We have a presence in Singapore, and we are soon expanding into SIA very soon. So LiveSpace, like I said, is a technology-based platform for interior designers. So I lead product marketing for both the B2C and the B2B end. So when I say B2C, we have our own proprietary design platform. It's more of a project management platform where interior designers can sign up, create their designs from scratch. We have a 3D visualization tool as well. They can create their own 3D visuals in 2D, 3D elevation views, right? They can interact with customers, share quotations and pricing. There's a B2B front, so that's more of a strategic initiative that I'm working with the founders office. So that's more targeted towards our OEM. So that could be Elixir, IKEA, where we are providing our design software in the form of SaaS for them to onboard their teams on. So yeah, it's been a really good journey so far. And I guess the design industry is it is getting bigger actually. And before this, I was with Quantcast, which is into ad tech. Over there, I was with product marketing, so assisting the sales team for the EMEA market to shorten the sales cycle. And before that, I was with HubSpot in Dublin, where I was part of the partner marketing team. And I was basically driving growth for the agency partner program. So meaning like, acquisition and retention of agency partners on a platform.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Adrita. And so there is this, the growth marketing is getting very popular, and interchangeably people use it for, they mean different things when they talk about growth marketing. So Rosalind, what is your approach to growth marketing and how do you define that?
So I think for me, the main thing here is a lot of experimentation and learning. So whenever we introduce a new marketing campaigns, there are defined goals that we're measuring. And after that, there is some sort of process to learn from it and scale the experiments that work well. And that, that is like a very, very iterative and experimental process.
Yep. And Udit, how do you define it? What is your approach to it?
So growth marketing as a general term usually means how a marketer or a team and a company who don't have the funding, right? But they have to be very creative when it comes to growth. So they have to constantly keep on finding the loopholes in the marketing system which falls under, like I would say, a bit of gray hat marketing. And you have to find out those ways in order to acquire your leads and customers at as low cost as possible. So you have to figure out those ways, and and there are different sort of creative ways one can implement in order to acquire those customers today. So, for example, you can implement a strategy as simple as viral marketing, where you're asking people to share your landing page, and in exchange, you're giving something, right? And when that happens, people are crazy about entering those contests. So there are various strategies that I'll probably share throughout this session. But that's what growth marketing is all about. It's all about finding creative ways in terms of doing marketing to acquire your leads and customer for as low cost as possible.
Okay. Adrita, how do you define it? What is your approach towards it?
Right. So I don't have a definition, but what I can say from my experience is that, like, I look at growth marketing as data and product-led marketing, right? So like how both Rosalind and Jatin has put it, like it's majorly for, so a growth team is something which is a very lean team. And you build a lean team when you have a crunch in terms of resources. It could be money, it could be talent, it could be even products, right? So it's like it's more about, going at that speed, but also testing in the same fashion. So that's how I look at it. So, you run, and you do a lot of tests and you see what really works. And then you reiterate, you analyze, and you stick to it. So I'll say that, one thing which I've really learned is that the piggybacking idea. So it's more like you have a particular channel which is already built out and you have your users already there. So instead of me creating a channel to acquire users, why don't I piggyback on somebody else's network and, attract those users? So I've learned this from Airbnb or Udemy. A lot of companies do this because, the investments are much, much cheaper. So, you're getting more creative and you're acquiring somebody else's users who are already on a different platform. Like I said, it's more about, being very smart the way you deal with it at a very low cost. And because you're running at a huge speed, you want to test out many different things. You A/B test, you do usability test, what works, and you stick with it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Adrita. So we want to do this thing, Rosalind, Udit, and Adrita. You can tell us, one specific instance that this is the growth you wanted to achieve, and you applied this strategies, and these were your learnings, and what was the outcome. You can choose that particular instance or anecdote that you feel is relevant, but if you can tell us the journey of that idea and execution. Rosalind.
Yeah, so I think one specific example that I really like sharing is how to get your first, say, like 100 or first 1,000 users. What we did that turned out to be a really good, cost-efficient and low CAC channel started off as an experiment. So I hired one person focused on lead generation. We tested out the email marketing approach. We tested out the tools. We tested out the amount of time it would take to get a lead to convert, and basically optimized it with a really small team of 3 people over a 3-month span. After that, we hired a manager to manage that team of lead generators and expanded that team. And that has become one of the leading growth marketing channels for us. So we really just followed this very religious approach of starting small and then hiring more people and then hiring a manager for the team when we know that the CAC is already really optimized. So yeah, that is completely data-driven, all the way from caring about our funnel at the top line to caring about the individual email campaign results.
Brilliant. Udit, any specific anecdote that you would want to share?
Sure. So I'm quite heavy into paid advertisement, and I love paid advertisement because that's one of the best ways to acquire users. But that's also getting expensive every single day. More and more advertisers are coming in. So this is where I came up with a very, very creative strategy that I implemented that decreased our cost per acquisition of a customer by almost 90%. And this is something that pretty much everyone can implement. I'm pretty sure that everyone watching this webinar today has probably ran a Facebook ad or is running a Facebook ad right now, or will be running a Facebook ad after watching this. So one of the strategies that we specifically implemented was we made a post about one of our products a while back, and we wanted to make sure that the product really goes viral. So what we did was, after making that post on Facebook, we didn't create that as an ad yet. So we wanted to make sure that we turn that post into an ad. So this way we are able to use that post very creatively. So after getting that particular post, what we started doing was we started giving out a lot of review copies about our product. And instead of asking people to drop a review on Capterra, G2 Crowd, or any other platform, which is not going to help you in short term, but might help you in the long term, where people are looking out for your product and searching about you and doing some brand analysis and doing research about your product, they would identify more about it. But right now, when you are starting out, you want to acquire your first 1,000 customers as soon as possible. So this is the strategy that we implemented to acquire our first 1,000 customers at pitch ground in less than 5 days. That's it. So we made a post about that particular product, and we gave out about 25 to 30 review copies and asked people that leave your honest review in that particular post. After doing that, we had an insane amount of engagement already generated in that particular post. Then what I did was I went ahead and I started an ad directly on that post, and I started targeting my competitors' interest directly. And I started driving a lot of emotions in my copies. Now, when you combine emotions plus reviews plus engagement, your cost per click is going to go down drastically. And that leads to a very high amount of traffic. And when people see those reviews at the same time, it leads to some very heavy conversion. And when we ran that campaign, our cost per acquisition of a customer was as low as $5 per customer. Our average order size was $160. And that's the kind of ROS we made from that particular campaign. And we acquired about our first 1,000 customers in just 5 days.
Brilliant.
And our overall spend was, I think our overall spend was probably just about like a couple of $1,000 or something like that, if I remember correctly, not more than that. But we ended up generating a nice 6-figure launch in just about 5 to 7 days.
Awesome. Adrita, any specific anecdote that you would want to share?
Yeah, so ours was more like, not burning any dollars, but, because it was a very lean team. So what happened was that at HubSpot, while I was on the partner marketing team, so our goal was to increase the number of agency partners who were signing up with us. So already in our kitty, we had a huge user base of agency partners. They were tiered as per gold status, diamond status, and so on and so forth. So we realized is that, because we have a very lean team and we didn't have a lot of budget for, let's say, paid traffic or paid marketing. So we took a very simple way. We created a landing page where we hosted all our agency partners, created a bunch of filters based on, their skill set, the area they're from, because it's North America, LATAM, Asia Pacific, and also Europe. So we had like area specific filters, location specific filters, the tiering status. And we hosted all of them on that landing page. And we had a very simple and clean form right next to it, the sign up form. So what we did was like very simple marketing. We did email campaigns, we did social media marketing, we did a bit of PR. We have our own PR team, so we did PR as well. And once the word went out, firstly, our agency partners were extremely delighted that we created an open, discovery page for them. So they kept on promoting it. So what we try to solve for is that, discoverability for their users or users in the industry to sign up with agency partners. Also, it became easier for agency partners to sign up with HubSpot because they realized, there is a huge user base with HubSpot and, they're already being successful in this program. So within like 2 hours, we received 250 signups from agency partners. And later when we spoke with our agency partners, they told us, that lead gen went up twice. So it doubled the lead gen efforts as well. So it was like a very good hack because we didn't pay anything for it. We didn't burn any dollars. We didn't do any paid marketing at all. So it was just simple and a quick hack for us. Because we had our own landing page builder as well at HubSpot because it's a marketing automation tool. So, we build it ourselves and we required very minimal dev effort. So it was just, it was a good one, I feel.
And there are so many channels and the ways you could achieve growth. So in your experience, what has worked for you and what do you think why and what channels probably didn't work for you as expected and what do you think could be the reason? We start with Adrita this time.
Sure. So I feel like we look into 3 things when in terms of maybe a launch or a campaign. So we look into acquisition, second is user onboarding, and third is retention. And I feel like if your product is not doing well, it's not because it's a bad product, but your distribution channels are not well laid out. So I feel distribution channels are very key. So what works really well for us, of course, SEO, SEM works really well. Paid ads work well, but again, it depends upon the amount of budget that you have in if you want to go about it, right? Events like speaking engagement or a podcast does really well in terms of lead generation, right? Like it could be like a leadership talking, or it could be your employees speaking as well on different platforms. That works well. Then again, like I said, like piggybacking on existing platforms. So we have a bunch of community where we go and post about our stuff, and we get a lot of signups from there. So because we know where our users are hanging out, so that works really well for us. Emails work really well. Like now, everybody wants to consume stuff on video or podcast. So video and podcast are really big. When it comes to user onboarding, so we realize that it's more about creating that wow experience or getting a user hooked. So we use a lot of product doors. When a user comes onto our on a product, or when they start using our platform, we use a bunch of product doors powered by Intercom. We have a lot of knowledge base as well. Now, what really doesn't work for us, sometimes we realize is that doing too much of everything. So like, it's not that, okay, video works, that means you do a lot of video. So you need to double, maybe you need to let go of it. So that's what, like, I can't really pinpoint and say that this doesn't work and this doesn't work. It completely depends on, your campaign to campaign or your product to product, your feature to feature. But it's more about, changing the ways you market yourself. So that's what I would say. Like, keep innovating, or there's so many different distribution platforms out there, or distribution channels out there. So use them, see what's working for you. Maybe use that again, but add in a new channel as well. And because it's all about testing. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, Udit.
So I think one of the best ways that you can really do a lot of things when it comes to growth marketing is just look out for what your competitor has done, and spend about a good few days and few weeks trying to understand what channels your competitors are using. Because today there are so many tools available, so many softwares available that you can use to track down everything, to understand what channel really works and what channel doesn't work. So based on collecting that data, if you're very good with data analysis, which is one of the most primary skill set that is required to become a very good growth marketer today, you have to understand these data points. If you're able to backtrack and analyze every single of those marketing strategies that your competitor has used, you would be able to see where they are spending majority of their money. And that's exactly what you need to do. If they are spending majority of their money on X channel, that means that X channel is working out the best for them. So that's exactly where you need to go, because again, there are over 5 billion people on the internet, so they will never be able to reach out to everyone. They will never be able to reach out to every single country. So once you are able to identify that, you can easily start scaling up. So I'm pretty sure that when it comes to SEO, most of the people over here know about Ahrefs or SEMrush. It makes it very easy for you to analyze. And if you are into paid ads, then a tool like SpyFu can help you identify what sort of keywords your competitors are bidding for. That helps you to save a lot of money, because instead of trying to spend a lot of money. So for example, let's take an example of HubSpot over here. HubSpot have got millions of dollars to spend on search engine marketing today, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see what are keywords that they're bidding for, and I'm going to track those keywords specifically and analyze the potential sales that they could be driving from those keywords. And only then I will start bidding on those specific keywords. Now, this is how you have to start up if you're a startup, and you have to be very creative in terms of growing very aggressively during the current stage. Also, you can start identifying that if any of these companies are running any sort of campaign specifically, they would have built hundreds of inner funnel landing pages everywhere. So you also get to identify what kind of funnels are they running. Just enter their funnel and see what kind of emails are being sent out, right? You can start analyzing that they have paid millions of dollars to different copywriters, and you can get those data right away to identify how you can take the action and how you can take the next action forward, and then try to build your funnel from there, which will probably cost you about 98% less cost than what these big companies have paid, because they keep on testing and they keep on spending a lot of money on those testing. So that is what I did specifically, and that is one of the biggest reasons why I was with my entire team, we were able to reach that sort of growth that is required on such a quick basis, and we are continuously keep on doing that, and that is leading to all the growth currently, regardless of how competitive the market is right now.
Awesome. Rosalind?
Yeah, I think I echo both Adrita and Udit's views. Knowing your funnel very well, knowing your own conversion rates is super important. So knowing, where are some areas of low-hanging fruit you can optimize on. So I'll give you an example. I think for us, top of the funnel is doing very well, but when it comes to bottom of the funnel, like turning the people who have signed up for a free account into a paid account is always a huge challenge. And different forms, different marketing channels might contribute more to certain parts of the funnel. So for us, organic social, for instance, is only good for top of the funnel. We don't get any conversions. We don't actually get a lot of leads from social media, but it's great for brand building. It's great for community. So yeah, trying out different channels for different parts of your funnel, and then realizing what works and what doesn't work is unique to every company. And like Udit said, knowing case studies from your industry, from your specific product, and then spending the resources and the time to test out certain channels for your specific product is super important.
Awesome. So we do this at this panels is that we have panelists ask questions to each other. So we want to know what knowledgeable people would want to ask another knowledgeable people. And this also helps me increase my question bank. So next time when I moderate a session, I ask those good questions. So Udit, if you were to ask a question to Rosalind or Adrita, what would that question be?
I think one of the questions I'll probably ask Rosalind would be, what are some of the strategies that you're implementing for like free to paid conversion when it comes to like high-end subscriptions and not low-end subscriptions, but let's say a high ticket who has signed up but haven't converted, and you have figured out that that particular lead is worth like $5,000 a month, right? But at the same time, just continuously following up is not possibly an option. What are some of the strategies that you'll probably implement to convert them?
Yeah, so I think just to explain our business model a little bit better, there is a base subscription fee that all small businesses can join, and we just have one plan. So we don't really have like a higher tier. We're not an enterprise product. We're a high volume, low ticket sort of product. But on the other hand, we have advertisers. With advertisers, it's not as self-serve. With advertisers, it's a lot of manual. Like it's basically an entire sales process, almost like an enterprise sales process. So in Australia, for instance, we have Lululemon on board as an advertiser, and to get them in, it requires jumping through a lot of hoops. It requires just showing them results. But I think on our platform, the results speak for themselves. We're an advertising platform for small businesses, and when a big advertiser comes on board, our CPM, our CPC is far superior compared to other traditional platforms, and they're advertising with a way more engaged audience. So that has been the key selling point. But when it comes to signups to paid plans for our customers, it's tricky. Part of it is the product doing the heavy lifting. What we've been working actively on is customer communications. So making sure that the email communication it's on point, that we're trying to optimize for as many opens and clicks as possible, and constantly tweaking. The final part is customer success. So making sure that the customer success team is responding to questions in a timely manner, that our help center is addressing questions, and that people can really fully utilize the product and see results from day one.
Yep.
Awesome. So can I ask the second question as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the second question is for Adrita. Have you gotten into like scraping or anything when you were dealing with those agencies specifically? Did you start scraping like a lot of data and started doing a lot of mass outreaching in order to penetrate into their network, or what was the strategy that you specifically implemented?
So yes, like we had a lot of data, and then we had, of course, like from Google Analytics, we would get to know, what's the source of those leads that we would getting those traffic from. But it was less of a mass outreach, because back by then, HubSpot, it's 60% of its revenue was coming from direct customers, and later on, the agency partner program was set up, so that was contributing to 40% of the revenue. This is back in 2016 that I'm talking about. So so like when I say that it already went IPO, so it was a credible brand already for marketing and sales automation in the industry. So we didn't do mass outreach, we didn't do a lot of paid ads, but it was more about positioning us as a brand. so that, we can help out agency partners. Like, hey, if you sign up with us, we can help you out with your revenue. We are going to offer you so many leads from a platform that's going to have an effect on your revenues. It was more about confidence building, brand building, and partnership building. So we used to have our local events set up in every country in EMEA and North America, where a leadership team or somebody from the leadership team would go and speak about HubSpot and how, the partnership would benefit you. So, maybe it could be mass outreach in that perspective, but more like in a more human manner, because we wanted that partnership to go on for a long time, because it benefits both ways. Right. And also, we would have dedicated account managers as well for you guys. So if you have any sort of outreach, if you're stuck somewhere, let's say if your leads are churning, we are here to help you on that aspect as well. So this is how it started out. And then we also expanded our services. So it was just not about, a lead gen tool for agency partners that HubSpot would be, but it was more about, we're going to help you throughout. So it was more about confidence building, and that really worked out for us.
Awesome. Rosalind, you want to ask a question to Adrita or Udit or both?
Yeah, I'm actually quite curious to hear your approach, Adrita, to launching in new markets. I'm not sure if it's something that falls under your domain, but you guys are growing so quickly. So how would you decide on which market to enter, as well as decide how you would localize the product and localize the marketing?
So we first launched in India, and then we quickly launched in Singapore. So how we actually launch in different markets was that, we look into similarities like India, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. You see, it's very similar in that nature. So it was easy that way. But, we do take help of a lot of consultancies such as BCG and Bain & Co. So they help us out with the entire launch plan of it. They chart out the entire plan and the costing and all of that, and how, we should localize a product or even an offering that way. And then we have a central team that actually travels to every city, and we make sure we have our onboarding team, the training team, the IT, and the basic infra set up for the teams to join us. Also, one thing that has really worked for us is that we make sure, because in these countries, culture is a very big thing, because we make sure that, we emphasize a lot on culture. We make sure people are very open when they come and work with us, because again, in that particular country, we're not a big company. So we are a startup in that particular country. So we want the best of the best talent, but we also want to make sure that they have the confidence in us. So it was a lot of brand building exercise as well. And once we have a team set up, we again, the entire central team moves to the other countries. So this is how we go about. So we take the help of a consultancy, and we understand, what the plan should be. We have a core team which hops around different countries, localizes the product, builds a very basic infra team, and they start recruiting.
Awesome. We want to finish the circle. So Adrita, your question for Udit.
I have one question for Rosalind and both Udit, is that how do you guys look at retention? I'm sure we're talking about growth marketing, so acquisition is key in everybody's mind, but we ultimately see growth and we retain them. So this is how I calculate growth, is that, you acquire users, you churn users, then, you try to resurrect them. So that is your net growth. So how do you guys go about retaining those paid users? So both. This is a question for both Rosalind and Udit.
Yes. Udit, you will take this up first?
Yeah, sure. So there are two things that we specifically have implemented to ensure that not only that the customers that we have acquired doesn't churn at the rate that is expected to, but also at the same time we're able to retain. First, when it comes to tech, you have to deliver very quickly today. That's very, very important. Those days are really gone, where you're going to take a lot of time to deliver a new feature to your customers. Because there are so many other competitors that are coming in, you have to make sure that you stand out in the market. And the only way to really do that is by delivering to your customers over and over again. That's very important. At the same time, you have to give them a hook. So it really comes down to the product now, where you have to make sure that the company is so integrated with your product so deeply that they cannot survive without your product. The day they start your day, they start your day with that particular product. So for example, let's talk about Jatin, right? He starts all of his sessions on Zoom today. If you take out Zoom from his everyday session, he'll probably start thinking, what software do I use now, right? So that is very important. And for that to happen, you have to constantly innovate and constantly deliver. Second is customer success. No matter how amazing your technology is, if you do not focus on customer success, you're not going anywhere. So those two are so very important today to retain customers because of heavy competition, that if you focus on just these two things, growth is inevitable. You can use your users, and your users will become your biggest brand ambassador, will talk about you everywhere, and you can start using them as a word-to-mouth marketing channel pretty aggressively.
Rosalind?
I think for us, the answer is quite unique to our platform, because we're a platform, but we're also a community for small businesses, and the small businesses are collaborating with each other. So what we find is that brands who stay on longer actually benefit more. So they only start growing their reach and clicks after the first month. So for us, cohort retention is quite important. There are a lot of tools out there. There's Heap, there's Mixpanel. We choose to use Heap for tracking our cohort retention. And we know we're doing a good job when there's 90% retention after 6 months, because that means that customers are seeing enough value in the product to stay on. Because we're a community, I think one big thing is keeping the quality of our brands high. So making sure that, hey, there are a lot of aspirational brands for these small businesses, and these aspirational brands are sharing their business, are working with them on the platform. And, that becomes a very strong motivation for retention. Another thing as well is time invested in the platform. So when users come in and they spend a lot of time deciding which brands they want to work with, they've curated the list of brands that they like to share and be shared by. When they've set up certain things on the platform, like we have a post checkout snippet that anyone can add to their Shopify store or their any other platform that they use, and it's set and forget. So these kind of investments into the platform helps us a lot with retention. So I'm giving more product side answers, but like we did mention, customer success is such a big one. Just a constant education and giving users a sense that we're releasing new features and listening to their feedback is quite an important one for us. We have a Facebook group where we're just constantly listening to user feedback. Users are constantly talking with each other and sharing best practices for our platform as well. So there is a sense of community, and there's a sense of camaraderie as well.
Yep. And there are so many tools with which you can achieve growth or execute your growth marketing plans. So which are those top 2-3 tools for you that the way I cannot live without Zoom because Zoom, Restream and YouTube is my stack for executing these programs. So for you, what are those top 2-3 tools? And one more tool, which is not that popular, but you found it very useful, or something that you are doing. Rosalind.
Adrita would like this answer, but our business basically lives on HubSpot. So we use HubSpot for not just managing our CRM database. We use a lot of the marketing automation features, our knowledge base, our live chat is all on HubSpot, which is great because we have a very customized use case and everything works well together across different departments. Another tool that we use quite actively, which I mentioned, is Heap. So we use Heap for tracking, not just our investor reporting, but also for internal tracking. Say we have like a 30-month goal to increase adoption for a specific feature, then we'd be using Heap to report on that. I think one less known tool, it's quite popular in certain communities, but I really enjoy using Notion as well, which is project management, note-taking, everything all in one. We've been using that a lot to manage marketing campaigns, manage the partnerships that we're running. You can do timeline views, you can use your own Kanban board. There is so much you can do within that one software.
Brilliant. Udit?
So I'm a 100% product guy. I run PitchGround, so I survive, live, breathe software every single day. So one of the first software that I would pretty much recommend to every single person over here is BytePlay. That's one of my favorite software. BytePlay basically helps you to extract videos where you can place ads directly on those monetized ads. And at the same time, it helps you to find the right influencers with just a click of a button. So the research that would probably take you about 8 hours to 16 hours will probably take you about 15 to 20 seconds with BytePlay. So the kind of time that you can save with it and directly start targeting your users with it, along with finding those influencers, is absolutely gold. So BytePlay is my number one tool that I pretty much use every single day. Second tool that we use internally very heavily is known as Scrapebox. Not sure if many of the users know about Scrapebox, but it's one of the best scraper in the world. It runs right from your desktop. It's as simple as you can scrape the entire web with just a matter of few clicks, and all you would require is few proxies. And if you want to become a growth marketer, you have to learn scraping. That's an essential part of growth. So Scrapebox is the second tool that I pretty much use every single day. The third tool that I use very aggressively is known as TagLayer. So TagLayer is an enterprise tool that is currently available on PitchGround as well. And TagLayer helps you to customize and personalize your entire landing page to give your users the best personalized experience. This helps you to, again, increase your overall conversions. It helps you to do a lot of A/B split testing. And it, again, helps you to improve your overall conversions. And the final tool that is absolutely a no-brainer for me that I recently added to my kit is known as PitchLink. PitchLink is a very unique and creative kind of tool that is built by a good friend of mine from Bangalore itself. And the founder is actually 55 years old, has got over 30 years of sales experience that is put into that particular product. And the way the product works is that he is turning the entire conversation into conversion. That's his motto of his company. So the way the tool works is that you build up a fantastic product deck for your product or services or whatever you're selling. You can add in your audio, you can add in your video, and instead of just sending a traditional PDF to your customers, you can create an engaging deck with them where your customers can come in, your leads can come in and drop in comments, and you can start creating conversations. And you, again, have multiple reasons to get back to them, create various touch points, and go as personalized as possible. And that has led to some incredible conversions for us. And we have been able to close in some very high ticket sales with the help of PitchLink. So those are the top 4 tool sets that I would recommend everyone to check them out. I'm pretty sure that will be very helpful for all of you.
Awesome. And for a bigger list, you can visit pitchground.com. Aditya, the popular tools that you use and one not so popular but very useful for you.
Sure. So I've got a list of 5, and I'll keep this short. And these are certain tools that are products that I use at different journeys of our campaigns, of our users' life cycle. Starting off with the SEO tool. So we use SEMrush. And it's my holy grail. So this is where I get to understand my source of traffic and what our competitors are doing better and how we can do better. So that is one. HubSpot, of course, for all our marketing campaigns, the automation bit of it, social media. So we use HubSpot for that. For lead nurturing campaigns as well, we use HubSpot very heavily. Third tool which I use is Intercom. Big fan of Intercom here because it has helped us massively with our feature discovery. So we are a very product-led company, right? And then we churn out features very quickly, and just not new features, but feature enhancements, because we always are talking to our users and customers and finding out ways that we can better our features, because our primary goal is adoption. So Intercom, with its product store, it really helps us brilliantly with these feature discoveries, and also the knowledge base. So they have articles where our users can actually read about these features or different kind of things happening at Listbase. So the knowledge base bit of it. So the fourth thing that I use is Hotjar. Hotjar, there are 2 aspects in Hotjar. So one is the in-product survey that we use. So every time a user lands on a particular feature or a product, a survey pops up on their right side, so they can tell us more about how their experience is and how we can do better. And it's very interactive and it's intuitive. And we have seen that our users' response to surveys have actually gone better with Hotjar. We use a lot of heat maps, again powered by Hotjar, just to see what our users are using or how they're engaging with the platform. And we do churn out features, we do take away features which we've built, but they're not really using, so that we don't want a lot of clutter on our platform, so we take it off as well. Last is something that we use is Mixpanel. Like I said, our primary goal is adoption. So Mixpanel, and we use event-based tracking to see the adoption. So Mixpanel gives us report on, what features are doing well, and, just data on our events, basically. I think the most unpopular tool, when I speak about Hotjar, is a lot of people haven't heard about Hotjar. So I would say, go give it a try. It's brilliant. Take up the basic plan and see that, like these in-product surveys are really, really intuitive. Your users are gonna love it. And heat maps are your thing. If you are in a product-led company, heat maps is a thing, because it also helps you with your UATs and all of that, just to see, or maybe with your sample set of users who are trying out your product, or at the MVP stage or whatever, it really helps you understand how are they engaging with your platform, what features are they spending most amount of time on.
And one set of people who would be watching this video or reading this conversation when we transcribe this conversation would be early stage startup founders, and 1 or 2 people team. So they are the product guys, they are the CTOs, and they are the marketers also. So what would be your advice to them in terms of how they can get better at growth marketing? Rosalie?
I think one thing to do is to speak to a lot of people, or as many people in your industry as possible. Learn from other marketers. Very often people are willing to chat, and they're willing to have their brains picked for new ideas on what to implement on a very lean level. Another thing is to learn online. So keep an open mind towards constantly learning. There are a lot of great websites like Growth Hackers. There are a lot of forums out there that are sharing case studies and examples. And a lot of the software that we mentioned might not be accessible to founders that are bootstrapping. So I think we're speaking from the standpoint of either an established business or a startup that's that's VC backed. So if you're going with a lean approach, there are some free tools out there, like maybe instead of using something as robust as Heap or Mixpanel, you can start off with some basic analytics from a free tool like GA. So you'd have to really get creative with the tools that you're using, and try to find free alternatives as well, and try to build up your marketing stack from a very lean basis.
Yep. And Udit?
As Rosalie said, the very first thing that majority of the startup founders they have to do is they have to complete their tech stack. That's very important, because the moment you talk about growth, the moment you talk about growing your business online, you cannot start your business without software. So that's very essential. And it's very important, again, to build up your tech stack, to understand what kind of where do you want to head to, and start getting those software. So since there was a recommendation for Hotjar and Heap, I'll give you an alternative for all the startups, which is actually free. It's released by Microsoft themselves. It's known as Clarity. All of you can just do a quick Google search and type in Microsoft Clarity. It's an alternative to Hotjar, released by Microsoft, which also includes session recording, by the way, 100% free. So there are various such softwares out there that you can easily find out. They're absolutely free, available by many companies, and just start using them. That's very important. You will be surprised to know there are so many software that are actually free that you will be amazed that you have been looking out for some incredibly powerful and big softwares, and you're looking to get those, but at the same time, there are free alternatives available as well that you can start using it right away. Second, reach out to people. Trust me, today people are more accessible than what they were about 5 years ago or what they were 10 years ago. Just reach out to them, send them a DM on LinkedIn, or just send out a tweet to them, or just send an email to them. You will be surprised to know that people today come forward and actually interact. So don't be afraid, don't be scared, reach out to people. And lastly, start reading the other startup stories. That's very important, because while we are always in the hustle mode, we always need that constant dose of inspiration every single day. So make sure that you keep on reading and keep on inspiring yourself, because as long as you are inspiring yourself, you will always come out to be a better version of yourself tomorrow. And I have adopted this philosophy of improving 1% every day. So make sure that you do some 1% better than what you did yesterday, because the compounding result that you would get after 365 days would be 365% growth. So make sure that if you are a startup founder and if you see yourself next year, you have to grow by 365%. That should be a goal, but think macro, but go micro. That's what I would say.
Well said. Adrita, what would be your advice?
I think there's such excellent advice already by Rosaline and Udit. I think one thing which I really want to say that, always A/B test. Of course, you have a lot of data and you analyze it, but you should always A/B test. It could just be, tweaking that form on your sign up page, or it could be just tweaking that form on your landing or reference page, but always A/B test and keep seeing that why are people not signing up. I think networking is key. Speak with as many people as possible, be from your industry, or just maybe it could be your colleagues from college as well, to see what they're doing, take up advice, always have an open mind. Read a lot of books. Like Peter Thiel has a bunch of books on lean startups, so read a lot of books, keep your knowledge growing and accelerating. Like just a small quick story, if I have the time over here. Like I was talking about how you should always look at other people's network, and if you have a channel already set up for you, why didn't you use that users? So, back in the day when Airbnb was just growing, now it has debuted on the Wall Street recently. When it was growing, it just they asked their customers, via a survey that, where would you go? Where were you looking before Airbnb came for short-term rentals? And all of them said that, the Craigslist. So we would just go to Craigslist to find short-term rentals. So Airbnb, what they did was, they asked the other set of the community to go host their houses on Airbnb via simple steps, and also to host their houses on Craigslist. So, they were hosting their houses on Airbnb and Craigslist, but this is where the twist is. So when they would host their houses on Craigslist, they would have a CTA saying that rent now. And every time a customer or somebody looking for a short rental would click on the CTA, that would redirect them to Airbnb's website. So Airbnb was eating off traffic and users from Craigslist's website and their already set user base, and they were driving that to Airbnb's website. So that way, they doubled on their user base. And it took Craigslist a bit of time just to see what was really happening, because they were getting a lot of traffic on their website, but they were not converting. So they realized, okay, now, that's all history. We know how Airbnb has done and the other company didn't do. But, these are all smart hacks. Like I'm not promoting it, but they're all good examples that a lot of companies have done back in the day, because they didn't have a lot of budget, resources, but, it does solve the purpose.
Yep. And all of you are leading teams, empowering other people to be a better growth marketer in your teams. So, slightly higher in the value chain, the startups who have achieved this product market fit or are at a growth stage. So they go everywhere and everyone says that product led growth. So they have to hire or build somebody in your team who could lead these efforts. So what would be your advice to those people who haven't hired their first official growth marketer or product marketer and they want to do that? So what would be your advice to them? Adrita.
Sorry, I think I lost you for a second. Could you repeat your question?
So this is for the startups who have achieved product market fit or are at a growth stage, and they want to build a team of growth marketers in their startup or a business. So what would be your advice to them, and how should they approach this particular situation in your business?
I think there's a lot of demand for growth marketers and there's a very less of supply. I think what you're looking for is a unicorn. So I'm kidding over here, but in the sense that, they need to have a lot of abilities, because because ideally when you're looking at a growth team, that is a lean team, because you're aggressively running at a very high speed. So this person should have a very thorough knowledge of product. So when I say product, like, what different tools that we have out there in the industry, so that, their understanding of product it's a very short, small learning curve is what I'm trying to say. They are instinctively analytical. So like it should not be something that is built over time, but they have the knack or the instinct for being analytical. Right. Third thing is that they need to be a people's person. So since they're collaborating with different teams, they're talking to the engineering team, the tech team, the product team, the marketing team, the sales team. They need to be a people's person because they're driving growth. So it's all aggressive, but they need to speak really well. And lastly is that I think they should have a bit of, they need to have working knowledge of, let's say, SQL or, the other tools out there in the industry. But all in all, they should be a very creative person. So like I said, you're looking for a unicorn out there in the market.
Udit, you found a unicorn or you enabled somebody to become a unicorn?
No, I think I'm in a process. We have an internal goal of making it to New York Exchange by 2027. That's our internal goal. So that's something that we have been working towards pretty aggressively. We are on that path with some good success right now. I think we have found some great base. We have found a brilliant team. And I think this is where I can pretty much share some great advice, because I started the company just by myself as in one individual. Now I have two other co-founders, and I've built a team of almost 15 people, fantastic people that can outbeat a team of 100 people anywhere else. And a couple of suggestions that I'll give you with regards to how I was able to achieve this based on my previous failures that I had when I built my last team of almost 50 people. I made a lot of mistakes of hiring very quickly and not firing very quickly. So that would be the first advice that I'll give all of you, that hiring is guessing, but firing is not. So if you hire someone and if they don't perform in the first month, they're not going to perform in the second month, they're not going to perform in the third month. So make sure that while you have got the best CV in the world, not necessarily they would be the right fit for you, because it's not just the knowledge that matters, it's also the attitude of the person that plays a major role when it comes to growing your company. So that's the first advice that I'll give you, is make sure that you're looking into that and making sure that the attitude of the person is correct. Second, start hiring from top and not from the bottom. This was the first major mistake that I made in my last startup before I made an exit, is I started hiring from bottom. I would try to save money by hiring interns and train them for 1 whole year, after which they would leave me. And I'm like, my whole year is gone. I tried to save some money, but I ended up spending all my time into them, that I did not focus on growth. I focused on their growth. So that is very important, that start hiring from top and not from the bottom. And if that means giving out equity to getting the best talents, please do that. If you want to grow a company, you cannot have 100% of the company. That's something that all of the founders need to understand, that if you want to retain and get the best talent, start by building the four pillars of your organization. The first one obviously has to be a CEO. He has to be robust. He has to go out there, talk to people, take up all the shit of everyone. Sorry for my language, but take up all the crap of everyone around, absorb it, go out there, wake up again, and get started with work. That's the first thing. Second, if you are building a product team, you cannot operate without a CTO. You have to make sure that you have the best CTO in the world, right? No matter the cost, shell out equity. If you have your vision, and if you are building a company, you need to know how to sell to people. That's where it begins with. And when it comes to onboarding co-founders, you need to be a very good salespeople, because before selling to customers, you have to sell to these people and get them to buy your vision. So that's very important. Third is COO, which is one of the most underrated position, I would say, and is one of the most important position, because they are the ones who are setting up the entire foundation of your company and making sure the operation is smooth everywhere. And lastly is the CFO. That is, again, very important. So if you have these core 4 pillars in your organization, the growth after that would be phenomenal for you. And make sure, again, take time to get these people. Do not rush into it. You will reach to that growth, but having those right people in your team is very important. Once you have identified that, then start focusing on your individual roles and responsibilities, and let the other person take that responsibility, because they are the best in that position. Once you have that, the entire building on top of those pillars would be so rock solid, it will never fall apart. And that has been the biggest reason of why my current startup had grown so quickly, because I had learned from all of the previous mistakes, failures, everything, that I made sure that I would not repeat those mistakes. I still am making mistakes every day. There's a new learning every day. So there's always new implementation every day. So that would be my advice to all the startups out there who are bootstrapping and looking for that exponential growth for yourself.
Brilliant. Well said, Udit. Rosalind?
I think I echo Udit's view, which is very, very comprehensive as well, and definitely very inspirational. when you're a lean startup, you can't compete with bigger companies. You can't compete with bigger startups. You can't compete with big FAANG companies for engineering talent, for product talent, for marketing talent. So the real thing you can offer is a very strong business case, a very strong product. Of course, like being a charismatic person and someone who's very passionate about whatever idea you have helps. Yeah, but on a more compensation standpoint, if you can't provide that salary, then like what the others have mentioned, equity is super important. So realizing that that is a tool you have to get very strong team members on board and using that to your advantage. So, in my experience starting a company as well, like about 6 years ago, a lot of it was being able to sell the vision and being able to, compensate people with equity when you're first starting out. So that should be a good way for a good starting point for anyone who's just starting out.
Right. And thank you so much, everyone. We are in the last minute, so we will finish on time. So first of all, Elsa, KL, and Benji, thank you for engaging in the chat section on the Zoom. Thank you so much, because the entire show is being made for you, and you there, so that you learn something, you take some takeaways from this session. So we typically ending Zoom call is very tricky. So what we do is that we have some anchor question, and the moment last speaker responds, we end the call once that answer comes. So the question for you is, if you were to get a superpower to become a better growth marketer, a better leader, what would that superpower be? You can just give one word. So we'll start with Adrita, and Rosalind, you end. The moment you end your sentence, word, I'll close this call. So Adrita, what is that superpower you need, that if you have that, you would do wonders?
Collaboration.
Okay, awesome. So collaboration is taken. That has been assigned to her. Udit, you cannot take that. What else?
I would say a credit card with unlimited credit.
Wow, this is good one. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Vadhwani team, TIP, Nitro, Adrita, Chris, Udit, and Rosalind. Rosalind, the moment you end your word, I'll close this call.
Passionate people.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And Udit, did you had a sleep? You wrote that, you were late awake.
No, so I'm actually a night owl. So I usually work until like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. And I was like in a dilemma whether I should sleep, because if I sleep, I know I wouldn't be making it for this session, because I think this is for the first time in my 14 years of career that I've done a session in the morning. So, so it's just a weird situation for me.